Hi everyone. In this lecture we are going to talk about CSS Flexbox or the CSS Flexible Box. Now before diving into this lecture, from this lecture onwards until the end of this playlist, we are going to work with Firefox Developer Edition. We are moving from Chrome to Firefox because when it comes to creating websites, when it comes to laying out our websites, Firefox is a far better option than Chrome. The DevTools for Firefox is way more comprehensive than the DevTools for Chrome. So first what you're going to do is, now keep in mind that if you don't like Firefox or if you don't want to switch from Chrome to any other browser, that's fine too. You can work with Chrome, but what I'm going to do is my preference is for creating websites. It's going to be Firefox, always. And that is going to be the Developer Edition. You could use the regular edition or the Developer Edition. Doesn't really matter that much. I just like the name of it, Firefox Developer Edition. It makes me feel like I'm special in some way. So if you want to follow along with Chrome, that's fine. If you want to follow along with Safari, that is fine as well. Keep that in mind. But if you want to heed to my suggestion, just go ahead and install Firefox Developer Edition. So the way you can go ahead and install that is going to be, just go ahead and type in the Google, just type Firefox Developer Edition, then click on the first link, and you can see we're still in the Chrome browser, and then get it from here. It says Firefox Developer Edition. Just click on it, it will be downloaded. So let's close these. Now this is going to be our HTML for this lecture. Now if you're using Windows, I'm not sure how this is going to work for Mac. I've never owned a Mac. Just go to settings and find default apps, and from there you need to switch from Chrome to Firefox. Then if you just go ahead and click on open with live server, you will see that the page, our web page, is going to open, our HTML page is going to open within the Firefox window. And for some reason this last update of Firefox is a little bit buggy. When I used it like a few minutes ago, I just opened it with live server. It wasn't responding, and now it is doing basically the same thing. Anyway, it is now responding. I'm not sure what is happening here. It did update itself today. I mean, there is one annoying thing with Firefox, and that is two out of 3 times when you open it up, it is going to update itself. And most of the times, it's just going to end up ruining the current experience that we have with Firefox. That is one of the most annoying things that Firefox has, and that is what makes me not use it for my other projects. But as far as CSS is concerned, this is the best browser. So let's put it on one side of the screen, and we are going to put our code on the other side. So I'm just going to provide it right here, and I'm going to put this right here. Now, since we are working with Flexbox, we are going to need a little bit more of real estate when it comes to the browser. So let's just put it like that, and we are going to increase it if we need it more. So let's get back to our lecture. Not Firefox, CSS Flexbox or Flexible Box. So everything in CSS is a box, so it's not a wonder that it is called Flexbox. Now, CSS Flexbox is a tool. It is a tool for laying out, alignment, and distribution of space among items in a container. So there are 2 concepts: items in a container and distribution of space. Keep these 2 in mind. In simple terms, Flexbox allows us to better align our web pages so they look good on all devices with all kinds of screen sizes. Now, generally, there are 2 important concepts. There are 2 fundamental concepts when it comes to CSS Flexbox. And they are, first, the container element, aka Flex container, aka the parent. And the second one is the contained elements, aka Flex children, aka Flex items. So the main concept is Flex container. The second main concept is The first main was the Flex container, and the second main concept is Flex items. Keep these two in mind. We are going to come back to these. So in simple terms, we use Flexbox to create websites. Now, we used to have floats, we used to have tables, but they were just hacks. They weren't like concrete technologies or tools that you would use as a real-world developer to create websites. But since the dawn of CSS3, we have Flexbox and CSS Grid, which are amazing additions. And these two tools, they're tools, of course, they allow us to create websites. That's basically what Flexbox does. It makes it gives us the ability to create websites. How, you might ask, is going to be the topic of these lectures covering Flexbox. So when it comes to Flexbox, we know that there are two main ideas. One is going to be the parent. In this case, UL is going to be the parent. The other one is going to be Flex items. So I'm going to create an LI, a UL, and within the UL, I'm going to create 5 LIs. Each of the LIs is going to have this text, and they're going to start from LI item, list item 1 all the way to list item 5. Let's save that. We can see our changes right here. Let's move into, I'm going to create an order list as well, an OL. So we have an OL. Within there, I'm going to have 5 LIs, and the content for the LIs is going to be OL list item. So OL list item, and then $sign. Let's save that. There we go. So we have these two here. Let's move into the CSS. So first off, using the universal selector, I'm going to grab all the margin. I told you we are going to make them 0 because we want to have control over the margin as well as over the padding, and we are going to set the box sizing to border box. So we have talked about this. I'm not going to cover it again. Now I'm going to grab all the LIs. Now these styles, they will be applied consistently on all of the LIs. So I'm going to say list style none. This is going to remove that circular circle, that bullet point for the styles, for the lists. Padding is going to be 15 pixels. Background color is going to be 336. Color for the text is going to be white, and margin is going to be 5 pixels. There we go. So now we have these. These are our LIs. Now let's grab the container. I'm going to say display equal to flex. Now we have talked about display inline, display block, and display inline block. The next property value for display is going to be flex, and the other one is going to be inline flex, and then grid, and then inline grid. So what happens when you say display flex? When we declare display flex, a flex context is initiated. Keep in mind, these lectures, they're intermediate level, all the way to grid. Grid lectures, they're going to be advanced. So I want you to actually go ahead and keep up. Now, when we declare display flex, a flex context is initiated for all the direct children or items of the flex parent or flex container element. So you need to keep this in mind, that when you say UL display flex, a flex context is initiated, it is created only for the direct children. So if this LI had an anchor element within it, that anchor element will not be included within the flex context because it is not a direct child of this UL. Only the direct children, they are going to be converted to flex items, and their container is going to be a flex container. So any element, it doesn't matter whether it is a UL, a section, an article, a main element, any container element could also become a flex container. And any contained elements, they could also become flex items, as long as you just specify display flex. Now, the flex container itself, it could be a block level element, or it could be an inline level elements. So first off, let's go ahead and let's save this, and you're going to see some things changed. And now you can see, so the first 5 list items, which belong to this UL, they are now stacked horizontally. The reason for that is when you say display flex, Flexbox is actually a one-dimensional system. It is either horizontal or vertical. So you can have only 2 dimensions in Flexbox and 1 at each time. So you could have either vertical or horizontal. But there is, as with any other element property that for CSS that we have studied, there is a default value. So the default direction for the flex is going to be horizontal. You can change that. We are going to get to that as well, but keep in mind the default is horizontal. Now, what does display inline flex mean? So let's go ahead and let's take a look at that. Inline flex. Now, when you say display flex, it is going to be a block level element. That's why it takes the space in front of it, and the next elements, they start on the next line. But if you want this container to be an inline level container, then you need to specify display inline flex. Now, this container is still, it does look like it is block level. The reason for that is this OL is actually a block level element. So we need to convert that as well. So I'm going to grab the OL and I'm going to say display inline flex. Inline flex. Now, all of them are going to sit nicely next to one another. There we go. So list item 1 all the way to 5, and then OL list item 1 all the way to OL list item 5. So this is what is meant by inline flex. For the most part, I don't think we are going to use inline flex ever in our projects, but if the situation arises, we are going to use it. But for now, we are just going to suffice to display flex. So just a quick overview of what we have studied. Flexbox is a tool that allows us to create websites. Websites, they have many different sections. All these different sections, they're going to have different components within them. And those components, they need to be arranged like on the page. Like one is going to be on the top, the other one is going to be on the left, the other one is going to be on the right. You know the layout of any website. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, just go ahead and open up youtube.com and just take a look at it. You're going to see some videos on the top, some text on the bottom, your channel recommendation channels that are going to be on the right, on the left, settings, history, all of that is going to be, the apps are going to be on the left. So this layout, we know that if you just write it through HTML, all of them are going to stack from top to bottom. But it is the job of CSS to put one on the left, to put one on the top, one on the bottom, and one on the right, just for the sake of argument. That is called laying out a website, a complete website. When we get to our websites, you will understand, okay, why did I need to study Flexbox? And there are 2 main concepts in Flexbox. One is flex container, the other one is flex item. Any HTML element could become a flex container if you specify in the CSS display flex, any HTML element. It doesn't matter whether or not it has children. You could specify display flex. It may not have any sense to it, but if you specify it in an empty container, but that is something that you could do. Now, all the direct elements, keep in mind, direct elements or children of the container, they're going to be converted to flex items, and they're going to work within the context of that flex. None of the other elements, if they are 2 level down, 3 level down, nested within the grid items, they're not going to be converted into flex items. Now, from next lecture, we're going to talk more about Flexbox, and we're going to cover its features, its values. I tried to cover Flexbox very, very comprehensively, as well as grid, because these are important tools that you need in your tool belt or utility belt, in case you're Batman. And these are going to be really, really awesome. So this is where CSS shines. This is where the power of CSS is manifested. So that's it for this lecture. See you in the next one.